Oh yeah, recording in progress, isn't it always? I mean, whether we know about it or not, or we hit the
Yeah, yeah,
button,
that's right.
still probably recording. So I'm Will, the beer champion. It's tacos, pizza, and beer. And here's my host today, or here's my guest today.
You're the host. Hi, I'm Denny.
Yeah, so Denny Conn, one of the most prolific homebrewers and influences in homebrewing in this particular country in this generation. Denny actually taught me how to homebrew at a time in my life was pretty dark. I just flunked out of the University of Oregon. Didn't really have any passion for education, but Denny actually helped me find passion in history and the arts and culture and science and
Wow.
math through homebrewing.
Wow, man. I'm glad I could do that. I never would have thought that I could do that for somebody.
Oh yeah, it was a wonderful turning point. It got me into the brewing industry. I ended up teaching a lot of people to have those same passions in food and drink and culture. I even taught my mom how to homebrew. She's
Cool.
yeah, she's got the bulk of my brewing equipment with her down in Independence, Oregon, as well as my library, which consists also, I think, of two of your three books.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
That just earned me 16 cents in royalties.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, the money's in the mail.
Yeah, right. That's okay. The publisher sent it to her. I just deducted it from my advance. So, yeah, right. If anybody out there is thinking of writing a homebrewing book, don't think you're going to make any money.
Oh no, yeah. As someone who used to have a beer and food magazine, there's not a lot of money in there.
No, not at all.
But the industry is great. I mean, just being around people who are as passionate as they are, doing it, day in and day out. It's a lovely. It's a great industry of people.
Right. Yeah, it's really fun.
So, Denny, tell me what's going on in your homebrewing these days.
I'm not brewing as much as I'd like to be able to. I have several things going on that are kind of like keeping me from doing. It's funny, man. I religiously brewed every other week. I never missed it. And then I retired 8 years ago. It seems like I don't brew as much as I used to, which doesn't make any sense. But
no, I get it. I have a bunch of recipes on the books that just haven't been coming out as much lately.
I brewed a few weeks ago, and it's in the fermenter now, and probably it'll get kegged tomorrow or Friday finally. So that'll be great. But then that just means I got to get it together and brew something else.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it means. What'd you make last?
I made what I call an homage to Oublon Chouffe. I don't say I clone beers. I think that's a ridiculous term for anybody, especially homebrewers, to use. Most homebrewers can't make the same thing twice in a row the same way.
That's very true.
If they try, So I don't say I'm cloning a beer. I make an homage, and it's a Oublon Chouffe, which is probably the original Belgian IPA. When I was in Belgium a few years ago, it's just about the only thing that my wife drank because she's an IPA fan, and it was about the only thing she could find there to really fit her tastes. So because it's been so long since we were in Belgium and able to have that beer, I figured it's time to try my own version. And I ran across a recipe that seemed very credible. I've given it a shot a couple times before on my own and didn't get as close as I would have liked. And I ran across one that a guy had put together after consulting with the brewery. And so I gave that a shot, and initial samples are very, very promising.
Well, terrific. What sets this recipe apart for you?
The fact that it tastes like what I intended it to. I mean, and again, the guy that I got the recipe from is a very experienced and thorough brewer. and he had contacted the brewery and talked to them about it and stuff. So I figured, okay, it was along the lines of what I had tried, but a little bit more dialed in. So I gave it a shot. I had some Round, which is one of the heritage malts that they've released recently, and it was the original Pilsner malt way back a couple hundred years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so there are a number of heritage malts. The Chevalier that they've put out is another one, and it's just a stunningly good malt. So I decided I'd try it with the Hana because it is supposedly very flavorful, but it also requires well, they say that it benefits from a decoction, but there's no way I'm going to do a decoction. I've done that in the past.
Okay.
I've been there, done that. So I just did kind of a regular step mash, but a really kind of like complicated mash regime. But that's real easy to do in my grandfather G40. So I decided, what the heck, I'd give it a shot.
Well, nice. Oh, and for the couple of high schoolers I know who are listening to this right now and have no idea what Denny's talking about, I would say go get one of his homebrewing books, and it'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's also brings me to why I try to do this particular channel is to make food and beer a little bit more accessible, because sometimes we get people who go way over the end and say like IPAs pair with steak, and it's nonsense because it's like a million IPAs and you want to like, what cut, how do you prep it, and then the other end where you say, oh yeah, this very specific thing that you can't get pairs with this other very specific thing that you can't
Right.
get,
Right.
and then nothing comes of that either. So today, because it's the month of October, we're talking about candy and beer pairings. The candy of your choice was Mounds bars, if I recall.
Yes, indeed, man. I love Mounds with or without beer.
Oh, nice. Yeah, same as me. I'm actually more on the Almond Joy train.
You know what, man? If they put dark chocolate on Almond Joys, I'd be right there with you.
Yeah, I get you. I think growing up, I was more on the dark chocolate train, and then I just gradually slipped off that train. And now I'm even like my secret, shame is that when I see like a white chocolate peanut butter cup, like I know that it's not actually chocolate; it's just butter wrapped around peanut butter.
Right.
But I still love them. That's just
my wife is a big white chocolate fan, but it just doesn't do it for me.
well, that's fair. I mean, the nice thing about candy is you've got options, and we all have things we can pair it with.
Right.
Was there a beer of choice that you want to pair with that today?
Well, my beer of choice, the first thing that popped into my head was Ale Song's Rhino Suit.
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge fan of Ale Song. I don't think they could make a bad beer if they tried, and of course they won't. But the Rhino Suit is an imperial milk stout, and admittedly, it's a little bit of a cliche to pair an imperial stout with chocolate. But on the other hand, it works, so why not? The other thing that kind of set me in that direction is that Rhino Suit is one of their base beers that they make variations on from time to time. And they have made a coconut version of that before. Rhino Suit aged on coconut.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that kind of got me into the headspace of thinking about just the plain Rhino Suit paired with coconut and chocolate.
Yeah, actually, I went in the same direction. It's not quite as a craft beer anymore, but the vanilla porter from Breckenridge out in Colorado.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Founded out in 1990. It was actually the third craft brewery in Colorado. Founded by, well, I don't know if you know Richard Squire or Todd Ursery, ended up becoming the brewmaster and then president later.
No, I don't know them.
Yeah.
I make a bourbon vanilla imperial porter, usually
Ooh.
in the winter time as Christmas gifts for friends. I may have to do that this year. It's been a few years since I've pumped that out.
Oh, well, I mean, if you need someone to add to your Christmas list,
If I end up making it, I guarantee I'll send you up a bottle.
oh, that would be lovely. Yeah. Do you do barrels or chips?
I put bourbon in it.
Oh, you put bourbon in it. Yeah. That's just, I mean,
The easy way, duh.
yeah, cut
Um,
out the middleman.
yeah, and the whole idea came about because years past, maybe 15 years ago, when I was really, really into making beer for Christmas and giving it to people, I thought about making like a barrel aged beer or something like that, but didn't really have time to get around to it. So I thought, what the heck? I'll just put the bourbon right into the beer. And
Oh,
that's what you're going for anyway.
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can, you know, do as fancy function as you want to beer to zhuzh it up, but if you can figure out a simple way to get to the point, I say go for it.
Man, I'm all about pragmatism,
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
Occam's razor,
Yeah.
the simplest way is the best way.
Oh yeah, I right in my fridge right now. I've got some rum barrel aged Dark Star from Fremont Brewing, where I just found a good gold rum to add to Dark Star.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And that happens. I tend to like gin barrel aged IPAs too. So I've been known to put just a little splash of gin into a glass of IPA,
Mm.
and that
Ab-
works out really, really nicely.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I talk about Boilermakers on here all the time and how people approach them. Some people
Mhm.
just, drop it in and knock it back. I'm more of a sipping kind of guy where I, pour a little bit in, sip it to taste, and then add until it's until it's there.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
I work
That's
over
the
at
best way.
yeah, I'm back in the service industry now. I work over at Zeke's Pizza here in Seattle, and
Mhm.
they even let me design a whole Boilermaker menu around that kind of thing.
Oh, cool. That's great, man.
Oh yeah.
Probably, I mean, that's very unique too. You probably don't see that a lot.
I hope we can see more of it, but I also have to consider the fact that not everyone drinks a shot of liquor with their beer. So there's
Yeah,
also
right. Well, and I have to admit, I am not a big liquor drinker. I mean, I've never been able to get into scotch or something like that.
yeah.
Gin and tonics were my thing, but once I discovered beer, there's such variety in beer that I seldom even get around to a gin and tonic, except maybe like on the hottest days of summer.
Oh yeah. Those cocktails do well, especially this. We had a pretty warm summer this year.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, so also love me my history. The Mounds Bar. The guy that invented this, Peter Halogian, in like 1919, he actually started by selling these door to door.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
which I
I
found
didn't know that.
fascinating because I used to have to do that. I don't know if you ever had to do that in like elementary school where you'd like take a box of chocolate and sell it door to door to raise money for your school.
Yeah, yeah, I've done similar stuff for sure.
Mm.
Probably one of my favorite pairings that I have ever had. It was so offbeat when I first saw it. I just laughed and I thought it was going to be disgusting. But it goes back to the Ailsong Rhino suit again. They had made a version of it aged on raspberries.
Hmm.
And at one of their releases, they paired that with Rogue Creamery's smoky blue cheese. Rogue Creamery makes some of the best blue cheese in the world.
Yeah, I know
This,
that cheese. It's a very good cheese.
yeah, and they smoke it over hazelnut shells. Uh, and so that paired with the raspberry imperial milk stout was one of the most stunningly good pairings I have ever had in my life, especially because when you first looked at it, you went, no, this is crazy. You know,
Yeah, I
just just
it
even the idea of putting like blue cheese with an imperial stout and then a raspberry imperial stout with a smoky blue cheese, stunning.
yeah, I don't this actually reminds me the late great Fred Eckhart. he used to do these cheese pairings every year where he'd
Mhm.
take like 10 beers and 10 cheeses and he'd pair them all in this just extraordinary event that I have never really seen the likes of again. But it's
Yeah, well,
certainly
you
just,
can say that about anything Fred did.
that's true. Yeah, he pretty much invented the game.
He was an extraordinary guy.
Oh yeah, just hearing from. Although unfortunately, he carried a lot of history with him that the internet doesn't have. So every now and again, I'll hear something, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Fred told me a story about it," but that story does not exist online, so there's no way to verify it. I keep trying to like text Lisa Morrison, like, "Hey, is this true about this thing?" And she's like, "Maybe."
Yeah, right. Right. Well, she's a good source for that kind of thing.
Yeah, she is. Although usually she responds, "I don't have any idea." Like, oh right. So yeah, Denny, that's pretty much all I have for you. You know, simple and to the point. Thank you so
Cool.
much for joining me today.
Hey, well, it's been a pleasure. I always like to talk about beer and food. It's been a long time since we've chatted, so it was great to see you.
Well, it's great. I'll hit you up on the next one and see if you've got some interest. But I think we're doing what? Thanks. I mean, every month has a different, food thing about it now. So it's all the food and drink in the world.
Okay, man. Let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Cheers.
right. See you later.